In the chronicles of scientific achievement, one name stands both revered and strangely obscured: Nikola Tesla. Often hailed as the true father of modern electricity, Tesla's inventions laid the foundation for much of the technology we take for granted today: alternating current, wireless transmission, and remote control, among many others. Yet behind the brilliance of this extraordinary mind lies a deeper, far more mysterious narrative. What if we told you that everything you've learned about Tesla barely scratches the surface? Mainstream history often celebrates Thomas Edison, casting a long shadow over Tesla's legacy. But the reality is far more complex and unsettling. While Tesla's early breakthroughs brought him into the spotlight, nearly all of his inventions after the age of 40 mysteriously disappeared from public view. According to declassified documents, many of these later works were seized and locked away by none other than the FBI. Why would the US government hide the work of a man once hailed as the greatest inventor of all time? In 1901, Tesla sat down for a rare and intimate interview, a conversation so profound, so controversial, that it would be buried for over a century. What exactly did he reveal? And why was the world not allowed to hear it? This is not just the story of an inventor. It is the unraveling of a man whose knowledge may have surpassed the bounds of human understanding. This is the forgotten genius. The world remembers Thomas Edison as the Wizard of Menlo Park, the celebrated inventor of the light bulb, phonograph, and countless other devices. But few know the darker side of that legacy. And even fewer understand the bitter, calculated rivalry he shared with Nikola Tesla. Their story began in 1884 when Tesla, armed with letters of recommendation and grand ideas, arrived in New York and joined Edison's company. At first, the young Serbian immigrant was eager to contribute. He improved Edison's existing designs with such precision that Edison reportedly promised him a $50 reward for successfully redesigning the inefficient direct current (DC) motor. Tesla delivered. Edison laughed. It was just a joke, he said, refusing to pay. Humiliated and betrayed, Tesla resigned. What followed would become known as the War of Currents: Edison's direct current versus Tesla's alternating current, AC. Backed by George Westinghouse, Tesla's AC system proved more efficient and scalable. But Edison, unwilling to lose the energy monopoly, resorted to horrifying tactics: public electrocutions of animals using AC current, fear campaigns suggesting AC was deadly, and political lobbying to discredit Tesla's work. Despite the smear tactics, Tesla's system prevailed. AC became the global standard. Yet, the damage was done. Tesla, more scientist than businessman, began to fade from the spotlight while Edison solidified his place in textbooks and history. Behind Edison's triumph was a calculated erasure. Tesla wasn't merely a competitor. He was a threat to everything the industrial establishment stood for. His ideas were too radical, too free, too uncontrollable, and perhaps, too dangerous to be left unchecked. Nikola Tesla was no ordinary inventor. His mind operated in dimensions few could comprehend. From a young age, Tesla displayed signs of an intellect far beyond his era, what some might even call otherworldly. After the tragic death of his older brother in a horseback accident, Tesla began experiencing intense hallucinations, blinding flashes of light followed by vivid visions. He claimed that when he heard a word, he would instantly see associated images and detailed concepts in his mind, as if projected onto a screen. These episodes, far from hindering him, became the very source of his inspiration. Tesla possessed an eidetic memory. He could visualize complex machinery down to every bolt and gear, rotate them in 3 dimensions, and simulate their functions entirely within his mind. He rarely needed blueprints, tests, or prototypes. Machines came to him fully formed and thought. And once built, they functioned exactly as he envisioned. His abilities defied the scientific norms of the time. Some saw him as a genius, others whispered of madness. But Tesla himself insisted it was simply how his brain worked: efficient, intense, and unrelenting. He could memorize entire books at a glance, recite them years later without error. He spoke 8 languages and claimed to sleep only 2 hours a night. The boundary between imagination and engineering didn't exist for him. It was all one seamless flow. To many, Tesla was a man ahead of his time. But to those who feared his potential, he was something else entirely. Tesla's mind, limitless in imagination, did not slow with age. In fact, his most astonishing ideas came after he left the public spotlight, when his isolation deepened and his visions grew bolder. But these later inventions, unlike his earlier triumphs, would never shape the world in the way he had hoped. Instead, they were silenced, scattered, and in many cases, erased. Following his success with alternating current and the induction motor, Tesla turned his genius toward a more radical dream: free, wireless energy for all humanity. His Wardenclyffe Tower project was the cornerstone of this vision. Built in secret, it was designed to transmit electrical power through the atmosphere itself. No wires, no fuel, no monopoly. Energy would flow freely across continents. But just as the tower neared completion, funding was cut. The project collapsed. The tower was destroyed. The reason? Too dangerous. Not to humanity, but to profit. Tesla's dream threatened the financial pillars of the industrial world. And so, quietly, it was buried. Behind the scenes, he delved even deeper into weather manipulation, artificial earthquakes, and directed energy weapons. He claimed to have developed a particle beam capable of leveling armies, ending wars before they began. He believed such technology could be a deterrent to conflict. But the governments he approached showed interest not in peace, but in control. When he died in 1943, federal agents confiscated all his research, labeling it a threat to national security. Some files were released decades later, heavily redacted. Others were never seen again. What exactly did they take? And more importantly, what were they trying to keep from us? Tesla died alone in room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel on January 7, 1943. Within hours, agents from the U.S. government arrived, not to mourn, but to confiscate. Every page of his notes, every sketch, blueprint, and letter was seized under the Alien Property Custodian Act. Despite Tesla being a naturalized American citizen, it wasn't grief that motivated them. It was fear. For decades, the contents of those documents remained sealed, hidden from the public and shrouded in rumor. Whispers of weapons of unimaginable power, energy systems that defied conventional physics, and even communication devices linked to celestial bodies filled the void left by the silence. Then, in 2016, over 60 years after Tesla's death, the FBI declassified a portion of those documents. Among the technical jargon and cryptic blueprints lay something even more disturbing: claims, possibly made by Tesla himself, that he was not originally from Earth. One document referenced alleged communications with beings from Venus. According to the file, Tesla had been in contact with otherworldly intelligences, and his ideas may have come from beyond our planet. A woman named Margaret Storm, connected to a supposed project involving interstellar transmissions, wrote that Tesla had been brought to Earth as a baby from Venus and had spent his life receiving cosmic knowledge. It sounded absurd, something out of science fiction, but it was there, buried in an official archive. Were these documents a hoax? A misinterpretation? Or were they pieces of a much larger truth? And if Tesla's genius truly did not originate here, then what was his purpose among us? For those willing to look beyond the veil of conventional history, the idea of Tesla's extraterrestrial connection isn't entirely far-fetched. It's eerily consistent with the man himself. His thoughts, his visions, his inventions, they often felt as though they were arriving from somewhere else entirely. But what if they were? According to the declassified FBI file, a woman named Margaret Storm had been entrusted with a set of writings, said to be dictated by Tesla himself through a device capable of interplanetary communication. She claimed Tesla had not only been in contact with beings from Venus, but that he was, in fact, one of them, a visitor in human form, a child placed on Earth in the mid-19th century to guide humanity's technological evolution, and perhaps its spiritual awakening. Her claims were dismissed by the scientific establishment as fiction, but she was not alone in her assertions. The document spoke of Tesla's use of a mysterious apparatus, built in 1938, that allegedly enabled two-way communication with non-terrestrial intelligences. Through this device, he received knowledge, guidance, and warnings. Storm reported that these beings were concerned about Earth's trajectory, its wars, its greed, its spiritual decay, and Tesla's mission was to offer an alternative path. But instead of embracing his insights, The world rejected him. His ideas were silenced. His warnings ignored. If these reports are true, they reveal a stunning possibility: that Tesla's greatest role wasn't just as an inventor, but as a messenger. A bridge between our world and something far more ancient and advanced. And if that's the case, the question isn't whether we're alone in the universe. It's whether we ever truly listened. In 1899, Nikola Tesla granted an exclusive interview to a little-known journal titled Immortality. It was never printed. For over a century, its contents remained hidden, whispers in the wind, buried beneath layers of secrecy. But according to recently unearthed fragments, what Tesla revealed during that conversation may explain why it was silenced, and why the world wasn't ready. Tesla didn't speak of machines or electricity. He spoke of consciousness, spirit, and cosmic responsibility. He told the interviewer that life, in all its infinite forms, exists beyond our limited perception. That a true scientist must not only seek mechanical answers, but dare to ask why we exist at all. He outlined 3 fundamental questions he had devoted his life to solving. 1. How can we end hunger and thirst across the planet using universal energy? 2. How can we eradicate pain, evil, and disease at their source, not just in the body, but in the soul? 3. Is there a source of infinite energy in the cosmos? And if so, can we access it without consequence? His voice, transcribed through yellowed paper and faded ink, was resolute. I may not solve them, he said, but I will never stop trying. And then, in one haunting statement, he hinted at a future none of us are prepared for. There is a star, smaller than an apple, heavier than your sun, and it is dying. When it vanishes, the balance will shift, and the veil will lift. Was this poetic mysticism, the ramblings of a man isolated for too long? Or was Tesla, yet again, decades ahead of everyone else? Today, we credit countless modern technologies to brilliant minds of the 20th and 21st centuries, yet so many of these ideas had already been conceived, or at least foreshadowed, by Nikola Tesla. Wireless communication, drone technology, remote control, clean energy transmission, even artificial intelligence. Tesla touched them all in one form or another. And yet, textbooks barely mention him, museums seldom honor him. For decades, his name was reduced to a footnote beneath Edison's shadow, as if erasing his existence would erase the threat he posed. But why? Why forget a man who gave the world so much? Because Tesla didn't just invent, he disrupted. His ideas weren't built to be patented and sold, they were designed to be shared. Free energy, global communication, peace through deterrence. These were not profitable ambitions for empires built on control. More than that, Tesla was uncontrollable. He refused to play the capitalist game. He shunned wealth, rejected fame, and gave away his patents for the betterment of humanity. The industrialists couldn't buy him, and governments couldn't predict him, so they buried him. But now, as the world stands at the edge of technological and ecological collapse, his warnings seem prophetic. His suppressed blueprints might hold the very solutions we're desperate for. And his visions, once dismissed as madness, now resemble blueprints for the future. Perhaps the most tragic truth isn't that Tesla was forgotten. It's that we chose to forget him. Though remembered for his inventions, Nikola Tesla was not just a man of machines, he was a seeker of the divine. Beneath the coils and currents, he believed there was a spiritual force guiding all of existence. To Tesla, science and spirituality were not opposites, but twin paths to the same truth. He often spoke of the universe as a vast system of vibrations, where everything, thoughts, light, sound, was part of a greater frequency. He believed that by tuning ourselves to this cosmic resonance, we could access deeper knowledge, healing, and even transcendence. In his own words, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Tesla's work wasn't just technological, it was metaphysical. He believed the mind could influence matter, that intention shaped energy, and that the soul itself was a kind of energy signature. These ideas, once dismissed as pseudoscience, are now echoed in fields like quantum physics and consciousness studies. He saw science as sacred, a way to unlock not just the physical world, but the divine blueprint behind it. And in doing so, he blurred the line between man and God, between machine and miracle. In many ways, Tesla wasn't just building inventions. He was building a bridge between what we know and what we have forgotten. If Tesla's story stirred something deep within you, a question, a chill, a spark, then you're already part of the mystery. Here on Parallel Mysteries, we explore the forgotten, the forbidden, and the truths hidden in plain sight. Subscribe to uncover the secrets they never wanted you to know. Like, share, and join us as we journey deeper into minds like Tesla's and beyond. Because in a world full of noise, the truth still whispers.